My name is Roger Vieira and this is the bike I raced at Red Bull Cerro Abajo, Italy. People asking if it's a downhill bike, it's an enduro bike, what travel you have. It's the GD Force, it's their most aggressive enduro bike they have. It's a carbon frame and it has a 160mm travel in the rear. The reason I chose an enduro bike is because the downhill bike is quite heavy and it also has a lot of travel, and on an urban race normally you have a lot of pedaling sections, so for an enduro bike with a little bit less travel, a bit lighter, I would pedal a lot better as well on the streets. Obviously I ride and race most with my downhill bike. I ended up putting a double crown forks in the front. So it's a Sunto Rux. I had to short the forks to 180mm, so that way it's safe to ride on this bike and doesn't change much the geometry. And obviously the cockpit, I can use the stem and the handlebars. All the cockpit is the same as on my downhill bike, which is what I'm comfortable with. And the double crown also gives me the confidence. So when I get to the jumps, corners, on the fast bits, I have a lot more stability on the bike. I opted to go for a Sunto coil shock, the Voro. I tried the air as well, but I preferred the coil because it was just a bit more smoother on the steps. Urban races normally is quite rough with a lot of steps, so you want that grip on the rear and that suppleness, which the coil shock gives to you. I think it was the perfect choice. The shock is stock. I do have the compression on 2 clicks from fully closed, a rebound fully open. I have a 500 spring on it. This shock you can put pressure on the pigback, so I filled that up quite a bit. It has 220 psi, so it gives me a quite nice ramp up. You need to get your braking point exactly perfect. It's not all the brakes that I trust more than the Hayes. So I have the Hayes purple brakes here, the Dominion A4. Love these brakes, they are so powerful and so reliable as well. I've been using them for the past year and yeah, it blew my mind. I put a 220 disc in the front and then a 203 on the rear, and it was just perfect. So for the tires, obviously you're racing on the concrete, on the tarmac. You want to choose a tire that is not that too much aggressive, but it also will give you braking power and some grip on the streets as well. I went for the Kenda in the front, which is their dry hard pack tire, and then on the rear I went with the double black, which is their new tire. It's also a tire that it's kind of to dry hard pack conditions, but then also for loose it's kind of intermediate tire. And they are also both downhill compound tires, so they have the puncture protection that you need, especially going down steps. For the components, I chose E13. They hooked me up and I love the products. Got the new E13 Helix cranks here. It's a 160mm crank arm length, so it gives me a lot of clearances to not hit anything in the floor. And we have the Helix chainring as well. I chose a 34 tooth, so it gives me more range to pedal, especially when you're going massive speeds. We got the E13 wheel in carbon in the rear, which is so reliable, so strong. I put a downhill 7-speed cassette on the rear, so it also gives me a really good range, and there's more cog in the rear, it's 9 tooth, which is something unique from E13, always having the right gear, so I think that was really massive. So I got HT pedals, downhill pedals, and the saddle and the seat post, the SDG I-beam. So yeah, here on the cockpit we have E13 handlebars. We also got a Bergtech stem. I use a 45mm reach on the stem and it's a 35mm diameter. And for grips we have the ODI, the long neck ones. It's the same I use on my downhill bike, enduro bike. The plan is to do the full series for next year. Let's see if I get invited again. I hope I showed enough potential. Hopefully I'll see you there. Thanks Red Bull.